like, I should have gotten situated a little bit first. Hi, it's me, Coffee Stitcher. I've got my new glasses. I like them. It is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to those of you who are mothers. Happy Sunday to those of you who are not. We've got more haul, really, than anything this week. And probably Q&A. We'll go through the Q&A. How was everybody's week? That's good. Mine was okay. It was my late week at work. So between it being my late week and having been off the week before and getting a lot of stitching done then, I kind of didn't do a lot this week. So I don't have too much to show in the way of WIP updates, but we've got some stuff. So, we'll dive on into our Q&A. GWiz has several questions. Can you explain the difference between blending filament and metallic thread? Yes, I can. Blending filament, particularly when you're referring to Kreinik, the difference between a blending filament and a braid is how many strands of filament are actually braided together. So a number 4 braid, which is what we use the most in cross stitch, is 4 strands of blending filament blended together, or braided together. So here is blending filament. As you can see, it's very, very, very thin. It's ideal when you're just needing a little bit of sparkle, not a lot. Generally, you can work with blending filament in a couple ways. You can either blend it with 2 strands of DMC, or you can do what I do, which if you really want it subtle, that's the way to go, because you're not going to pick up a lot of it. Or you can go over your top stitch with the blending filament. Now, here is... Let's see, let me find one where I know I've got the... somewhere. Yeah. Here, well, actually, I'll show you the difference between the strands with the same color. That'll probably be easier. Okay, so blending filament of Star Yellow. Oop. Blending filament is also a little more, definitely requires a thread conditioner to work with, or you're going to drive yourself crazy. It's also a lot easier to tear. So there's the blending filament. There's the number 4. So you can see the difference in the two. Number 4 is on the bottom, filament's on the top. The metallic threads, like the number 4 or the DMC Light Effects or Petite Treasure Braid, are generally designed to be used separately from cotton, with just the one strand. Now, Petite Treasure Braid, some of them are thin enough that I've discovered you actually can use those as a top stitch, which I've done before. Petite Treasure Braid seems to be just a little thinner. It'll still give good overall coverage, but you can use it as just the top stitch. Whereas with Kreinik, doing the number 4 as a top stitch over 2 already there cotton stitches can be a little tricky. Does that make sense? Good question. Her next question, when you're stitching single stitches like stars or snowflakes, do you carry the threads between stitches or tie off each one? My answer to that depends on the fabric I'm using, and the color of the floss. Since most of the time stars and snowflakes are a white, I'll go ahead and carry them. But if you have anything where you're having to carry a dark color behind a light fabric, then I tend to try to tie off as best I can. So that's and it's a matter of personal preference. There are some people who will tell you you have to tie off every single one, and there are others who will tell you it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter unless it's going to show through on the front side. Tammy McKinney, thank you. Minnie Gray has 2 questions. Is the Moses a new chart? Holy Moses, I don't believe it is. I know Kate Lantry, Queen of Starts, got it somewhere last year, because that's how I found out about it. And I feel like I saw it from her maybe last summer, and then promptly forgot about it. So I don't think it's new. Or if it's new, it's not like this year new. What is the highest count fabric you'll stitch on? I'll stitch on 36 and 40, but I really don't like 40, and 36 I'm particular about. I prefer 32 or 28. So there we go. Crystal Marie has a question about my Miss Ladybug, where I said I was going to do an Ozma conversion, and she asked, are you planning to keep her wings? No, I won't do the wings for her. I'm actually even debating about keeping the wings on her for the regular version, too. I'm not wild about the wings. So we'll see. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch her without the wings and see how she looks. Lynn McGill asks, are you able to stitch every day? And the answer is yes, generally. Obviously, weeks like this, I didn't do a lot. A lot of times Fridays, I don't get a lot of stitching in. But generally, yeah, I stitch every day. Cindy McGetty, unfortunately, there's not a good way for me to show the Rocky Horror Stitch because it's hanging in the living room, and it's not in a place I can easily take it down. It's definitely in a video. Look around February of 2016, because that was when I gave it to him, and I definitely showed it off in that video. Reba Scott, please tell me more about the nest egg. Who is it through? Laura Griffor did answer. It is Trisha at 3 Owl Threads. Her nest egg subscription is set up primarily through Facebook. It's a monthly subscription. She's got a whole bunch of different threads you can choose from. I'm doing Gentle Arts, but I know she offers Weeks, Classic Colorworks, Threadworks, Kreinik. I'm doing Kreinik as well. And what she does is you can group, usually it's between 5 and 10 skeins, depending on the cost of the skein, because she tries to keep it between $20 and $30 total. But you get 5 to 10 every month. The Gast usually ships towards the end of the month. The other ship, I think, towards the beginning of the month, and that just has to do with getting things from Gentle Arts. But she sends it, and it's fabulous. Luann by Gala, I got my Moses pattern at my needlework store, Stitch Niche. I'm sure it's available elsewhere, though. It's called Holy Moses by Silver Creek. Alright, and I think that is everyone. Oh, Ginger Habishaw asks, where did I get my, my Piglet needle minder? To be honest, I don't remember. I got it back in the early days of cross-stitching for me. I know I pointed it out in the video. I just don't remember. Part of me wants to say Gina's, but I don't think it was Gina's. And I'm not even sure if Gina's still around. But yeah, I genuinely don't remember now. It's one of the plastic ones, and as I recall, the person I got it from was the only person I ever saw with them. Because, you know, a lot of those you'll see them recycle. I only remember her having them, and I only think she had like 1 or 2 sets. Like, she didn't have a whole bunch of them. Like, well, I say 1 or 2. She probably only had like 5 of each. So I genuinely don't know. I wish I could tell you. What I would love is a Rabbit needle minder to match it, because Rabbit was my favorite. I understand Rabbit a lot. He just wanted his house. He wanted it nice. He wanted to be left alone. He wanted his garden left alone. And Jigger comes along and ruins his garden. Pooh eats all his honey and gets stuck in his front door for 3 weeks. You know, Rabbit gets a bad rap, but quite honestly, I think he's the true hero of the story. Or at least I'm gonna go with that. Alright, so let's talk haul. Okay, so there was actually a little bit of surprise. Or, sort of. Okay, so, one of the pieces of haul has already been used, so I have to find it real quick. There it is. Okay. So, Ship's Manor is doing a set of, is doing some themed thread packs now. So the first 2 came out, one of which is Rose Garden, and one of which is Wizard of Oz. So of course I had to order the Wizard of Oz one, and the Rose Garden one, because they were both pretty. So the rose colors are, these are gorgeous. I'll do them 2 at a time. Apricot Princess and JFK. These are 5-yard skeins, by the way. We've got Angel Face and Peace. And then Veterans Honor and Joseph's Coat. And it's hard to tell, but Joseph's Coat actually has a couple of different colors to it. It's sort of pink and orange and yellow. They're beautiful. And then the Oz one, which I've already needed the Tin Man one out of. Okay, let's see. Let's group these more logically. Okay. So we've got Dorothy, which is a blue and brown combination, and Ruby Slippers, which is a variegated red with some sparkle to it. We've got Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Lion. Scarecrow is a tan, sort of ropey color with blue. Tin Man is obviously a variegated silver, or variegated gray, which I've already been using. And Cowardly Lion is a yellow-red mix. Although Scarecrow's showing a little more green here. It's kind of a blue-green. And then finally, Yellow Brick Road and Emerald City, which are variegated yellow and green. Okay, so pull Tin Man out so it can go back into the bag I was using it in. Alright, then I got my Fabric of the Month from Leslie, as well as she had several Stitcher's 8s that were just $7, and they were mysteries, so you didn't know what you were going to get. So I'll show you those in a second. So first was Freya, which is in 32 count Jobelan. And it's all sorts of pretty blues, purples, and greens. And I like this sort of tie-dye swirl. So it's very pretty. And then I got a piece of emerald, and then my grab bag ones were Stitcher's 8s of 32 count Jobelan. And a Stitcher's 8th is 13 by 17. So here's Emerald Grotto. This one is Brigid, which is just screaming for a Brooks princess. Which one, I don't know, but it's screaming for one. Atlantis. and Heaven's Fury. All right. And then I got another Alforest kit. This is Atlantis, courtesy of the lovely McKenna at 1884 Stitchery. And I started it because I couldn't stop myself. So I got the Atlantis kit. So that sort of leads us into whip updates. So last week I worked on, let's see, the next one that I worked on for Magical Stitches was quilts, which is Long Dog Samplers. So, and I'm doing it on, I think this is Tiramisu from Under the Sea Fabrics. Is my little card in here still? It probably is. Lord knows where. I'm pretty sure this is Tiramisu. But there it is. I got one of the little houses sort of started. That's actually not the full house. That's only part of it. So, but it's super pretty, and I really like it so far. It's interesting. It's all Gentle Arts, and I'm actually missing a couple, so I'm gonna have to get to those. But the colors on the cover don't really, or I like the colors on the actual pattern better. So it's gonna, I think, be more vibrant than I initially thought it would be. Then Monday I worked on Miss Ladybug, and I got the darkest color in her skirt done. And then I started a little bit on the middle red, which is where I'll pick up tomorrow. So with any luck, I'll get the middle red done. All right, then, as I said, I started Atlantis. So, whoop. Okay. So that's all I got done on it. I started the jellyfish. But I didn't get it until Friday. And yesterday, part 3 of Oz came out, so I only really worked on this for a little bit. And yes, their kits do come with a needle, but I prefer my petite needles, so I never use kit needles. All right, and then, let's see, lunchtime stitching was on Nevermore. And we had some things going on, so I actually only got to stitch, I think, 2 days of lunch. So I got half of this second story done. This is Prairie Schoolers Nevermore. And then we started part 3 of Oz, which is the Tin Man, a Tin Woodman, and the Cowardly Lion. So I got the Tin Woodman done yesterday. I used Pebble from Gentle Arts for the lighter color, which is actually that there too, even though it doesn't look like it. And then Tin Man from Ship's Manor is the darker gray. And then I went ahead, he was charted with this gray, but I decided as a nod to Leonid Vladimirski, I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, he was the original illustrator for the Volkov Wizard of the Emerald City, which is the Russian version of Wizard of Oz. He has a copper gold funnel, so I thought that would be a fun little nod to him. So there we go. So Lions here, and then the Yellow Brick Road, which I think is going to be the end of the Yellow Brick Road. I'm not sure what's going to go on this side. And interestingly, I noticed that it's an 11-part Sal. So what I'm kind of wondering, because I think Emerald City is going to be in the middle, I'm actually wondering if it's going to be the last part, and that we're going to build everything around it first. we'll see. And then for the lion, I'm going to be using Ghast wool. I'm going to use chamomile for the body and cinnamon for the mane. So we'll do the lion and we'll do the Yellow Brick Road, and then we'll be ready for the next 3 weeks to go by. So, yeah. So that brings us to this week. This week's homework for Magical Stitches was just to do 100 in a project that you like, so I will log my 100 in on Owl Forest, wherever I'm at tonight. I know it's going to be well over 100 by that point. So this week's homework is starting Goblet of Fire, and the assignment, we had to upload our WIP list, and we're supposed to work on project number 17 on our list, which in my case is Search the Sky from Waxing Moon Designs. I have to do 700 stitches, and it's a new start, so it's going to be on Frosted Blueberries from Ship's Manor, because it has sort of that darkish, cloudy sky effect. So, and honestly, I'm not entirely sure there may not even be 700 in this thing. I'm gonna have to figure that part out. We're gonna have to do some mathing. And this one we have to get a little creative on because it starts with backstitch, but that's okay. Yeah, there may just be exactly 700 in this design. So, if we finish it, then we go on to our number 18, which in my case would be Strawberry Fields. So if I finish this one and it's not 700, then I'll switch over to Strawberry Fields. We'll just have to see. So, anyhow, that's it for me this week. I will see you all next week. I hope you have a great week. As always, drop me some Q&A because I do enjoy the Q&A. And I'll see y'all next time.